There we go. So welcome in this overview of the new features that have been released in Q2. This is what we quarterly prepare for our customers in order to give a recap, because I know and you all will probably be updated via the different channels that you have, but it's good that you have a dive in of some of the functionalities and that we can explain them live to you. On that note, of course, only updates that are available and released already. Updates of the latest weeks might not be live, so we're not able to show everything yet. Please don't hesitate to ask questions during the sessions if you would have. The session is recorded, can be rewatched later, and we thank you already for joining and enjoy the session. So as an introduction, myself, I'm Julie, head of the Digital Workplace team and leading the customer success as well. And I have today with me Francisco, who is our change management consultant, who will share with you the communication updates, and Wouter, who joined us as well today as customer success manager for Benelux as well. He will take part, or he will present to you the security features of Q2. So I will quickly get started. So with the collaboration section, then we have communication and security. What is new in collaboration features? So what we mean with collaboration is Google Drive and everything related to that. So the editors, docs, slides, sheets, forms, etc. So as we start, there's a first update that is being announced already a couple of weeks ago, and it has everything to do with the smart canvas that Google is working on. So in order to have the editors and Google Drive even being more interactive, more integrated with each other, and to have more AI in those applications. Meaning some of them are listed like here, to insert smart chips, checklists, and insert links, which I'm going to, of course, live demo now. So this functionality is live for all of you and available for all SKUs. So if I quit the presentation right here, and I'll explain you with this document. So this is the newsletter you received in order for this event. So the first update that I wanted to mention is those smart chips. What are these smart chips and what are they now useful for? So priorly, you could link in a document, a user, by using different characters. So tagging a user is always possible with the @ or the plus, of course. And if you wanted to look for a document and attach it, you could use the Explore section and look for that specific document or file that you have in your cloud search available. Then you could insert this file into the document. So that was priorly the options that you have. Now what Google changed is the moment that you use the app, you have different smart chips that you can apply or link in your document. For example, on this newsletter, it would make sense for us internally to have the Meet link attached to it. So I will look for the Google Workspace updates, and I see in the calendar section, yeah, that's today's section. So I can immediately link it and tag it so that from within the document, we have access to the calendar invite already. What I could link as well are the Google Workspace updates. So it's the presentation that we prepared for you. And I think I just saw it already. If I use again, voila. Within files, it is suggested automatically. And to be complete, I can tag Wouter and Francisco, who are working together with me on this document. What you saw as well is that it's suggested to add meeting notes, for example, and then these are dedicated template sections that have been made available by Google as well. If you click on the template, that I could potentially link in the documents that are available from within other meetings. So this way you can link in any smart chips, meaning a calendar, a user, a document, a presentation, another link, anything that is related for the document. And if you click on them, additional information is becoming available. So if I click on Wouter, I can see his full title or go for more information. If I click on the presentation, I can even see that Francisco made the last changes. Some collaborators might need access, or I can open a preview, which opens in a window that I can drag and drop around, and I have a preview of the presentation. So without leaving my screen, my document that I'm working in, I'm able to move on and to be very productive and efficient. So these are the smart chips. What is next to that as well is that when you want to insert a link or a document next to a word that already exists in your text. So for example, here we have the word beta programs. If I want to link in something, so either by saying right click choose for link or use the keyboard shortcut Control K. As of now, dedicated text presentations or even web pages are being suggested. So I didn't do anything. I clicked on the word beta, and what I see is interesting beta programs that are being, that's a section in my document. So all below here in the email, we have this section. So I can link automatically, or it suggests even web pages that it can find back. And if I now, for example, do the same with functionalities, then I will have different results. Second here, voila, the updates indeed, functionalities, and you can even have a full list of all the headings and the bookmarks that you would have created in your document. So priorly, this was the functionality exists already, but you need to look and add in your document or the document or the link yourself. Now it is being applied with some AI suggestions so that it would make it easier for you to, within a second, link your document. And then last but not least, functionality that I finally, for myself, like very much. For example, we have created this presentation with the three of us, but of course we are dividing different tasks. So why not have checklists that we can create the presentation all together? So for example, I could say, Wouter, share recording afterwards. These are still things to do. Francisco, give feedback to marketing team. So it's easily to assign out the different tasks to people, and then there's track through, just like you have the experience in Google Keep actually. And there's track through in the documents to keep track of all the different tasks that you still need to do. So these are all AI functionalities. The checklist is a formatting tool, but it makes you easier to collaborate with people and to link in different calendars, events, documents, and links that might be useful for the people you work with in this presentation. So that's the first one. A second one, I'm quickly not going to the presenting mode, but is that in Google Sheets specifically, there is a new way to discover and navigate through your comments. So priorly, it wasn't always easy to, with this move over, find back the comments that have been made in your Google Sheet. For now, you have already here like this smart box, which shows you, okay, in these cells, there are comments attached. And you can even go to a section to see them all. And that is actually what has been changed. If you click on the comment box all below, you will see the layout is different. So for now, you can filter on for who this was and what is the status. So tickets or questions for myself only, those that are still open or those that are resolved. And additionally, if you're using different tabs, you could see the comments for all sheets or for the current one only. So it's easier to track and trace the different comments and even to get back to them afterwards or to create a new one or being sure you're modified on the new changes here. So this in a Google document, it was already a different interface. And for now, you have the smart chip here available and the section where you can filter on for who and the status and in which sheet this was present. And then a final update for the collaboration part. This has to do with the update, the security update that Google is applying. So Google wants files that are shared with the link to be more secure. And they're adding a key into the URL of these files. So you will have, as an admin, probably received already a notification, meaning that you need to make a decision. So what is impacted? Files that have been created before 2017, all non-Google files, and folders created before the same date. So on those files and folders, if they're shared with a link, these have an impact. What we suggest is that as an admin, you apply by default the new security policy to all. You will be receiving a list from your admin system notifications on which files these contain, but it's worth checking priorly with your employees to make sure they are aware of this update and to change or to look already, okay, have I shared some files and folders with the link that are on a Google site that are somewhere mentioned with a link to make sure this impact isn't getting any resistance. Why we do this? If we say remove the security update, then it's up to the user to make all changes. And in some companies, it might be feasible, in others not. So that's still up to you. But what we recommend as your partner is to apply the security updates for sure, and to communicate with your end users like, hey, if you have any awareness of files that you share in this way, voila, maybe you should take a look and know that it might be changing, so you need to update the link to this. So that's it for the collaboration part. Let's now move on to the communication section, and then I will hand over the word to Francisco.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Julie. Um, could you please go to the next slide? Thanks. So now in the communication aspect, we have a couple of new features that have appeared. So first and foremost, we're going to start with obviously Google Meet. So the first one, as you can see in live, Wouter and myself actually have at the moment animated backgrounds. This is currently available in beta form, and there's 3 backgrounds available. So I'm going to take over your screen, Jolie. For now, it was a quick sharing. Thank you. So just to show you how we do this, now we can very much perfect. We'll just wait 2 seconds. Excellent. So now, as you can also see, we are going to go into 3 dot more options, and in our change backgrounds, you will automatically see them at the top. So you're going to have a couple of new different things. Another thing that has also changed at the moment is very much the interface that you will have in Google Meet. So as you can see, it's no longer the one that you had before. It is different, and it responds a bit more with what you would have with a Chromebook. So obviously things have changed a bit. So you will have your camera turning on, turning it off, turning on your microphone, as well as some other features that have appeared in your more options. One thing that is now available is your troubleshooting and help. What is this? It is going to allow you to better understand your network. So sometimes you might have a little pop-up that appears here left and right because your network might be unstable. Here you can further analyze this and understand what is currently happening. Is it your Wi-Fi? So very much it will give you a couple of recommendations and how everything is currently going on your end. One of the new features as well that we do have is our raising of the hand. Well, it's not a new feature, but it has been improved. So now what we can do is we can raise our hand, and you see that it appears next to your name or underneath your name, and it does wave to you. One thing that it will do is when you're done talking, Wouter has currently raised his hand as well. It will
Uh,
automatically get down. Yes, you wanted to try it?
Yes, I wanted to try it to show you that it works now.
Perfect. So these are going to be some of the new interface that we do have here. So I will go back to Julie's presentation. If you could potentially take over, or no, actually leave it like that. That's fine. And now one last thing that I will show here in Google Meet that we do have now that is a new feature is the background cancellation noise. So whenever you come into your more options and you go into your settings, in your audio, you do now have a noise cancellation. This is both available on your PC and as well on your cell phone if you do use it there, where it would filter out sounds that are not from your mic that are in speech related. So this is always something that is very interesting where you can turn it on and off. Perfect. Next we have, just to make sure, any chance you could go to the next slide, please, Julie? Yes, the new Google Contacts, we do have a new, richer information interface that you can now find in Google Contacts. So whenever you go into your Google Contacts, as you can see, the home page hasn't changed much. It seems it is very much the same. That being said, where things have changed, I will be using Julie as the guinea pig. When you click on a person's information, you have more available details that have appearing. Not only do you have the directory profile where you will find the email, the cell phone, their location, who their manager are, and their profile, you will also have the amount of interactions that you've had. So you can find these interactions here where you can always keep on finding stuff. And at the same time, you do have now the org chart that appears directly in the Google context. And last but not least, you can also see the subsequent org chart, meaning who reports to her or who does she report. So these are the new features that you will now find here. And what you can also do is you can click on people's directly from here, and you will be redirected to their profiles, and you can always see their profile and their org charts and their interaction. So these are also new features that you do now have on Google Contacts. Perfect. Could we go to, yes, the live demo on the mobile. So yes, so now we do have new features that have appeared, or they're partially live. They're not all 100% live. They are currently available on your cell phone devices. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to present my screen, but from my cell phone, just to demonstrate what we now mean, that we do have the possibility of having an improved search in your Google. So perfect. So whenever I come into my mobile and I go into chat, whenever I'm going to be in rooms, at the top we have search rooms. So whenever I click on it, as we can see at the top, we now have filters that we can use to further understand and investigate information. So if you are looking, for instance, within rooms, things that you were mentioned in, you can click on it and you will automatically have able to see everything where you have been linked. So these are now very much features that you can find here, so you can filter from who said it, said in which room that you currently find yourself in, what kind of attachment you are looking for, has any attachment, documents, slides, sheets, images, PDFs, and videos. At the same time, you can filter by date if you're looking for that, by any time older than a week, or you can also custom your own dating if you fancy. And last but not least as well, we can go with has links. So if you're looking for something that is a link, you can come and get these things here as well. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Perfect. And I will go back to the slide, to the presentation. I will resume the presentation. And now, last but not least, what we have is the evolution of a Google Space or Google Rooms, which isn't 100% yet there. We do have some features that are live, others that aren't 100% live. So the one that we are going to introduce to you today is the inline topic threading, or a bit where you can work within a room or within a chat space, where you will be able to do a couple of other things. So for that, I will jump directly to my email. Email, sorry, I will give it a couple of seconds for the page to fully load. Perfect. And from there, I will go into our rooms. I will just use the Q2. Okay, let's see, the internet is slightly slow. I apologize in advance. This has been happening a lot today. And in it, you now have your files tabs. Whenever you'll click on it, if you click on your files, you are now able to see your different files. And if you click on Newsletter Workspace Update 2021, for instance, what you can now do is it will open the document next to it with the editing options, and you can furthermore work directly in the document as well, giving you that flexibility of not having to open the document if you don't want to, and being able to do all the different changes that you want. For instance, as we can see, Julie's changes that she further on did. And if you also want, you can open the document directly, or you can move it within their drive, or you can, view it in the chat. You can also create comments and all of these things. So this is also a great new feature that we now have available in Rooms, and most of the other features will also be coming further along, potentially for Q3. So yeah, that will be it from me. On this, I will leave Voucher to be the next person. You're on.
Thank you, thank you, Francisco, for taking the part. Let's move on indeed to security. And please further point out the different, whether they're available data and the SKUs, because for security, it can differ from the SKUs. For communication and collaboration, that's not often the case.
Absolutely.
Give it a go.
Yeah, and maybe is it an idea to reshare it, but because I see the slide deck quite small now, yeah, so it might be a good idea, especially for the recording, to reshare the screen, so all the people that are looking it back have a good overview of the slide deck. Thank you. I think a lot of security updates are coming, And as Julie mentioned, some of them are in beta, and not all security features are available for all license types. So that's important to know. But of course, Google always emphasizes security a lot, and they will keep doing that. So in this case, they also have a look at the encryption. Of course, the data stored within your Google account is encrypted by default in REST and in transit. But especially some companies would like want to use some external encryption software. And sometimes the reason is that Google doesn't have the encryption key for all the data. So it was already possible in the past to use encryption software. And in this case, like Virtru, and you saw some other brands as well. And that was also an addition to Google Workspace, of course, with an additional license as well. But what they're now doing is they're including these encrypting software features into Google Drive. As you can see in this slide deck, you can see that when you create a new Google Drive file, you can encrypt it by default directly from your Google Drive. So what you can do in your admin panel on the technical side, you can say, okay, this is my encryption software, and you can add your licenses, and then the end user can directly from Drive start an encrypted file. And it will also use with Gmail as well, of course. So I think this is a really nice feature that gives a lot of flexibility to organizations and also makes the platform more secure. Okay, I think this is the next one, and that's also, thank you for clicking, Julie, very nice and very important. That's currently in beta, and that's the way that you can add labels to specific files. And there are basically multiple kind of labels. I will show that in the later in the slide deck. But what it can do a couple of things. First of all, a user can apply a label on a specific file. And with that specific file, you can search information faster and more efficient, because in your Google Drive, for instance, you can search for a specific label. And that's one. Two, you can also apply a state. And you can say, okay, a specific document is in a specific state. For instance, like an SOW that you've created for a client. You can select the state with a label. And that's also a functionality. And what I think is really nice, and maybe you can click to the next slide, because here you see a demo. You can also apply DLP rules, and I think this last one is very interesting, because what it can do, for instance, if you would type a document that states, for instance, a social security number, or another possibility is a bank account number, Google Drive will recognize this and automatically apply a label. And then you can also set to block these kinds of content. So it's also connected to data loss prevention. And of course, you need to have the acquired license for that. I think it's included in the enterprise license. But I think these are very nice features. And we see that a lot of organizations are looking at this to make their platform more safer, and also to make sure that the data that belongs to the company stays inside the company. Okay, maybe you can click on the next one.
The last one.
It's the last one already. Okay.
Hello.
These were some, I think, very new technical topics and security topics from our side.
Thank you very much, Arthur, for presenting these. I think we still have now 5 minutes time. If there would be any questions, you can use the chat or the Q&A. I will stop the recording for now so that we can speak if needed for that.